Ends up caroming to Hull. Here's Clark in transition. Clark, oh, what a look! And Hull lays it in!
Caitlin Clark was once called the golden girl of basketball, but today her silence feels louder than any cheer. And now Stephen A. Smith has dropped a statement that could change everything about her future with Team USA. The noise around Caitlin Clark is deafening, yet the truth feels hidden behind closed doors. This is no longer just about being benched. It looks like the slow dismantling of something that was supposed to be historic. Why would the most talked about player walk away from the world stage? What did Stephen A. Smith see that others ignored? And is this decision permanent or only the beginning of a deeper conflict inside women's basketball? Stay with us because we are about to reveal the truth they don't want you to hear. The silent star Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA with more attention than any rookie in years.
She was the first rookie to be named the All-WNBA first team since 2008.
From the moment she stepped onto the court, it was clear she was different. Crowds that had once trickled in to watch regular games now packed arenas just to see her play. Cameras followed her every move, not just to capture points scored, but to catch the way she moved, how she carried herself. The way she made basketball look effortless yet electric. Every highlight clip went viral. Her jersey flew off shelves faster than any other player's, and social media buzzed constantly with posts about her shots, her assists, and even her warm-up routines. Fans didn't just admire her skill, they celebrated her personality, her energy, and the way she made basketball exciting again. Then came the day that shocked everyone. Team USA released its roster. The list was expected, routine even. Fans scrolled through the names, ready to see the team that would represent the nation on the global stage. But one name was missing. Caitlin Clark, the golden girl, the face of the next generation, was nowhere to be found. At first, many thought it might be temporary.
According to a report from ESPN senior writer Michael Vogel, Clark will not be playing in the league.
Maybe it was just a benching. Maybe the coaches wanted to test different combinations. Perhaps it was a lesson in patience. After all, the transition from college to professional, from domestic to international play, often came with pauses, with adjustments. Yet something about this felt different. It wasn't just a roster oversight or a small tactical decision. There was a tension in the air, something that even casual fans could sense. Clark herself did not react. Her camp remained quiet. No interviews, no cryptic social media posts, no hints, no complaints, no explanations. And that silence, more than anything else, spoke volumes. It told a story that words could not capture. People began to speculate. Was this intentional? Was someone inside the system sending a message? It didn't take long for Stephen A. Smith to weigh in. Known for calling it as he saw it, Smith's words added gravity to what had previously been whispers and rumors. According to him, this was not just a standard coaching choice. He hinted that Clark understood exactly what was happening.
Caitlin Clark is going out there and being a conscientious observer and participant.
This exclusion was not about her performance, her talent, or her basketball IQ. It was about something else: control, hierarchy, influence. It was a subtle assertion of power, a reminder that even stars could be managed, measured, and kept in line if necessary. Instead of lashing out, Clark did something unexpected. She pulled back. No angry posts were storming social media. No heated press conferences, no dramatic confrontations. Just distance, quiet, a deliberate step away from the spotlight that had once seemed inseparable from her. And in that silence, fans began asking a haunting question. Was this a quiet goodbye to Team USA? Could this golden star, who had captivated millions, truly be stepping back not because of skill, but because of politics, ego, and control behind the scenes? The more people thought about it, the more it became clear that this was bigger than any single roster decision. Clark had proven she could command attention, draw crowds, and elevate the sport. She had shown that women's basketball could captivate audiences on a scale rarely seen in recent decades.
And Caitlin Clark, the way she has driven attendance, the way she has driven viewers to watch the games on television.
And yet being left out was a reminder that talent alone was not always enough. There were forces beyond the court personalities, hierarchies, and unspoken rules that sometimes dictated who played, who led, and who was sidelined. Fans and analysts began piecing together the context. They remembered the subtle looks from coaches during games, the whispered comments in press conferences, and the calculated roster choices over the past months. Each small action, each overlooked detail, began to paint a picture. Caitlin Clark was not being punished for mistakes or poor play. She was being reminded of boundaries, told without a word that even a golden star could be contained. And yet there was something powerful in her quiet response. By not reacting publicly, by not entering the noise with anger or desperation, Clark turned the situation into a statement in itself. Silence became her shield. Distance became her voice. And in that silence, a story of courage, awareness, and subtle defiance began to emerge, one that would soon leave fans, commentators, and even insiders asking whether Team USA had underestimated not just her talent, but her understanding of the game beyond the court. When the words hit hard, Stephen A. Smith has built a career on bold opinions, sharp critiques.
Stephen A. Smith, a fixture of ESPN's NBA coverage, but it's his opinions on the show First Take that agree or disagree,
and fiery takes that make fans either cheer or cringe. But when he addressed the situation with Caitlin Clark, the tone was different. It was not playful. There were no quick jokes or dramatic exaggerations. Instead, his voice carried seriousness, almost like he was protecting something precious. He didn't just comment. He tried to make people understand what was really happening behind the headlines. He reminded viewers that women's basketball had been searching for a star who could truly capture attention, a player who could pull in casual fans, fill arenas, and make the game feel alive on nights nobody expected to care. That player, of course, was Caitlin Clark. Her rise had been meteoric. Social media buzzed every time she touched the ball. Even games that usually had half-empty seats were suddenly packed. Families, students, and longtime fans all tuned in, eager to see her play. She became more than just a college phenomenon. She became a symbol of energy and excitement for the league. And yet, in the middle of all this attention, Team USA's Olympic roster was announced, and Clark's name was missing. People were shocked. Some were confused. Many couldn't believe that a player of her caliber, when someone who had single-handedly brought so much life and visibility to the sport, was being left out. Stephen A. Smith didn't just see it as an ordinary coaching decision. He called it a signal, not an error, not a lapse in judgment, but a deliberate message from a system that sometimes values comfort in tradition over talent and growth. Smith argued that this was more than just about basketball skills. The message to Clark seemed clear. The powers that be cared more about keeping the old structure intact than about embracing new energy, innovation, or global attention. They prioritized familiarity and comfort over change and progress. And that choice, according to Smith, was dangerous not just for Clark, but for the sport itself. It made fans question everything about how women's basketball is managed at the highest levels. His words also forced people to reconsider Clark's silence. Why hadn't she posted angry statements online? Why hadn't she stormed press conferences or demanded an explanation? Maybe, as Smith hinted, Clark understood something that others did not. She recognized her own value. She realized that stepping into public drama might make her part of the story, but it wouldn't change the underlying truth. She was still the most powerful force in that moment.
WNBA rookie sensation Caitlin Clark.
By staying quiet, she let the system reveal its flaws while she preserved her dignity and her influence. The implications were deeper than fans initially realized. If Team USA wasn't willing to fully embrace her talent, why should she accept a reduced or secondary role? Suddenly, what seemed like a simple bench decision turned into a line in the sand. The bench was no longer just a seat to rest on. It became a symbol of authority, respect, and recognition, or the lack thereof. For Clark, taking that bench under these circumstances would have been an acceptance of being undervalued. But her quiet resistance sent a message. She would not settle for less than what she had earned. Stephen A. Smith's perspective forced viewers to see the situation differently. It was no longer a story about a player being benched. It became a story about identity, respect, and power within the sport. For the fans watching at home, it created a mix of admiration and disbelief. Suddenly, the game off the court was just as compelling as the one on it. And that realization made Clark's silence louder than any public outburst ever could. Behind closed doors, away from the flashing cameras and roaring arenas, something quieter but far more intense was happening. Inside meeting rooms, behind closed doors, conversations about Caitlin Clark's future were taking place. Coaches spoke in measured tones, trying to balance egos, expectations, and public perception. Players whispered in hallways. Agents made calls. And through it all, Clark's absence was being noticed, discussed, and dissected.
For superstar guard Caitlin Clark confirming that she will not play again this season.
Reports suggested that after the initial roster snub, Team USA offered Clark an alternate or backup spot. On paper, it might have seemed like a courtesy, a way of saying, "We still value you." But for someone who had become the face of the sport almost overnight, that offer felt like a small seat at a big table she had already earned the right to lead. For Clark, it wasn't just a roster choice. It was a statement about where she belonged in the hierarchy. Stephen A. Smith later hinted that Clark saw the bigger picture immediately. She recognized that this alternate role wasn't just about basketball. It was a subtle reminder from the system. No matter how much talent, charisma, or influence you bring, the old guard controls the rules. And if you don't play by their expectations, your value can be minimized. That insight explains why she did not respond publicly with anger or frustration. There were no headlines, no social media posts laced with emotion. Instead, she chose distance. Silence became her statement. This was not a rash decision. For months, she had watched how the veterans interacted, how subtle politics shaped playing time, and how narratives were spun around the league's biggest names. By stepping back quietly, she shifted the power dynamics without saying a word. And that quiet move forced insiders and fans alike to pay attention in a way no public protest could have achieved. Even more striking was the ripple effect. Conversations inside Team USA revealed unease. Coaches wondered whether this step back would motivate her or cause her to drift permanently. Players debated loyalty versus opportunity. The media speculated endlessly. And in the middle of all this, Clark's silence spoke volumes. It forced everyone to reconsider the assumptions about power, talent, and respect in professional sports.
But here comes Clark. This is one thing you get with Clark is great pace and great passes.
In the end, behind closed doors wasn't just about secret meetings. It was about a system confronting its own limitations. A system trying to protect comfort over growth. For Caitlin Clark, these doors weren't barriers. They were an arena where her choice, patience, and self-respect became a story no one could ignore. Numbers don't lie. When it comes to Caitlin Clark, the proof is in the numbers. Every stat, every ticket sale, every view tells the same story. She is not just a player, she is a phenomenon. Her games draw crowds that the WNBA hasn't seen in decades. Arenas that once felt half empty are now sold out hours before tip-off. Fans line up outside just to get a glimpse of her warm-ups. Social media buzzes with clips of her shots from across the court. Even casual viewers, people who normally ignore women's basketball, are tuning in on random nights just to watch her play. This is a rare level of influence for any rookie, anywhere, in any sport. And yet, despite all of this, Team USA made a decision that stunned fans. They left her off the Olympic roster. At first glance, some tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was about experience. Maybe it was about seniority. But when you measure the impact in actual numbers, ticket sales, ratings, and social media engagement, the choice becomes harder to defend. Games featuring Clark often saw viewership jump by 300 to 400% compared to games without her.
The league could not be in a more exciting place than it is right now.
Certainly, the attention on women's basketball right now is at an all-time high.
Her presence alone could shift arenas from hundreds of spectators to thousands. She is not just contributing, she is transforming the business of the sport. Stephen A. Smith highlighted this reality, making it clear that this wasn't simply a basketball decision, it was a business one. The Olympics are a global stage, broadcast to millions around the world. Networks pay millions of dollars for the rights to show these games. Every player on the court matters, not just for points, but for audience attention. Leaving out Clark meant turning away viewers, a mistake that could cost the sport in both visibility and influence. Fans began to wonder, how could a league ignore the player driving its own growth? How could a system fail to recognize that one athlete could change the way the world watches women's basketball? The numbers don't lie, and they tell a powerful story. Caitlin Clark is a game changer. She brings in money, attention, and energy that no one else in the league can match. Her absence on Team USA is not just felt emotionally, it is measurable in every statistic, from TV ratings to arena attendance. And perhaps most strikingly, this data underscores something that Stephen A. Smith hinted at. Clark doesn't need Team USA to prove her worth. If the league refuses to recognize her, the world still will. And this section of the story isn't just about stats. It's about power, influence, and the subtle ways athletes shape the sport beyond the court. Clark's quiet withdrawal is amplified when viewed through these numbers. She has forced the league, the media, and the fans to confront an uncomfortable truth. Talent and impact cannot be ignored, and when measured in real-world results, her absence speaks louder than any press release or statement ever could. A quiet power move. Caitlin Clark has always been more than just her stats. From her first games in college to her explosive debut in the WNBA,
Clark is the platinum-certified rock star of college basketball, leading the nation in scoring, assists.
She has drawn attention not only for her incredible skill, but for the way she commands respect without demanding it. And now, in the wake of being left off Team USA's Olympic roster, she has taken what many would see as a step back. But it's really a step forward in a different way. Instead of making noise, Clark chose silence. She did not post angry messages. She did not hold a press conference to defend herself. She simply withdrew, quietly, from a system that had failed to acknowledge her true value. To the outside world, it might have looked like defeat, but in reality, it was a strategic move, a demonstration of power without theatrics. Clark knew that accepting a backup or alternate role would have been a public acknowledgement that the system had control over her career. By refusing it, she reclaimed that control entirely. Fans and insiders began to notice the subtle brilliance of her decision. Silence can be louder than words, and in this case, her quiet move forced everyone to reevaluate the dynamics at play. Coaches, veterans, and media personalities who had underestimated her influence suddenly realized that she could not be ignored. Stephen A. Smith made it clear that Clark's actions were not about bitterness or revenge. They were about awareness. She understood her own worth in a way that few rookies ever do, and she was not willing to compromise that for temporary validation or public approval. This choice also sent a powerful message about respect in professional sports. In a league where hierarchy often overshadows talent, Clark's refusal to settle quietly challenged the old guard. It highlighted a recurring issue in women's basketball, that established players and decision-makers sometimes prioritize comfort, tradition, and control over the growth and inclusion of rising stars. Clark's silent withdrawal wasn't just about her, it was about forcing the system to confront its own limitations. Moreover, her decision had a ripple effect beyond the court. Fans began discussing the move extensively on social media, creating debates about fairness, respect, and the future of women's basketball. Casual viewers, drawn in by her star power, became emotionally invested. Her absence on the Olympic stage suddenly felt louder than her presence ever could.
I reported on that team at the 1984 Olympics in LA, and every single Olympics after, I haven't missed one. Lucky me, so fortunate.
And that is the genius of her quiet power move. She shifted the narrative without stepping into the spotlight. The world was watching, and everyone was forced to reckon with her influence. Ultimately, Clark's choice demonstrated that leadership and strength do not always need to be loud. Sometimes the most powerful statement is the one made with poise, patience, and self-awareness. By stepping away, she reminded everyone from coaches to fans that true value cannot be dictated by a roster decision. The silent star had spoken, and the echoes of her decision would resonate far beyond the hardwood floors of the WNBA or the Olympic Gymnasium. This story is not just about a bench or a roster. It is about respect, power, and the future of women's basketball. When Stephen A. Smith confirmed what many feared, the message became clear. Something inside the system is changing. Caitlin Clark did not leave with noise. She left in silence. And sometimes silence speaks the loudest. Will Team USA feel the impact of this choice? Will the fans follow Clark instead of the jersey? And is this the moment that forced the sport to grow up? One decision has opened many questions. The truth is still unfolding. Stay with us because this story is far from over, and what happens next could change women's basketball forever.